Welcome to another exciting episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
Hello, Rod.
Hello.
My name is Bryce.
Bryce, it is so good to see you.
It's good to see you.
You know, I know I got to say, one of the nice things about us doing the podcast is I get to hang out and chew the fat with you.
That's a good thing?
Well, it's not a bad thing.
Oh, okay.
I enjoy it.
It is. I do enjoy our time, and now since it is summertime, I am no longer in the education world. I have a little bit more of a flexible schedule. We could break for lunch. We're not in a rush. We have more time because that's always been our main issue, right?
It has.
Is finding time. So
No, I totally agree, and it's kind of nice having, yes, summertime.
summertime.
So, you know,
living's easy.
The nice thing about summertime is it is, one, a way to interrupt you from singing, but the second one is,
Probably a good thing.
well, yeah, I can't carry a tune with a bucket. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
it's an opportunity for us to take a look back over the last, I don't know, however many, 6, 7 months, 5 months, that we have been doing season 2.
Yeah.
And, you know, with summertime, I was thinking, well, you know, we've talked about this, but I thought, you know, we could maybe kind of go back, revisit some of the different episodes we've done for season 2, and then maybe take a short break, you know, maybe 6 weeks, because I know that over the next, because I've got some vacation coming up, and with your new job and me trying to peddle my new job or my new business, maybe take a short break and build up some new episodes so that when school starts, you know, come back maybe August 1st.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, it has been a long season 2.
A fun one.
Yeah, it has been. It has been really good. We've had a lot of good. I know you're going to recap it, and we're going to recap it anyways. But we have had a lot of good guests on. We have had some technical issues. My computer shut down, so I had to take that in. That took a little over a week. You know, just again trying to connect the dots. You know, make sure we could line up on the calendar to get it all dialed in. But yeah, I'm excited. We'll take a break and then we'll launch season 3. But hey, so I want I'm going to do this anyways. Okay, I'm going to do this.
You're going to sing?
No, I'm not going to sing.
Okay, good.
But I have to confess, I mean, I can't believe that I got arrested the other day for impersonating a politician.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I was just sitting around doing nothing.
Really?
I got more, but I figured, you know what? I'll save it for each. I'll open up each episode. What do you think about that?
I say, let me think about that. We can take a poll.
I try and bust out some of these dad jokes with the family, and they look at me like I'm an idiot. Like, why aren't koalas considered bears?
What are they?
They're not bears because they don't meet the qualifications.
You have tapped into something that I've been accessing for a while, because where all dad jokes are kept, right?
No.
In a database.
Oh, man. We should definitely move on. No, but I'm telling Suzanne and Braddock, I think I'm going to start bust out some dad jokes on the podcast, and they're like, please don't. I'm like, I'm going to. And then I'll tell them what I'm going to say, and they look at me like...
They roll their eyes?
Yeah, and of course Braddock's. It's not cool.
Well...
you don't know what cool is, dude.
Not at 12. Well, but maybe us older than 12 don't either. But anyway, hey, let's get the
All right, let's get it going. Sorry about that.
I want to start with, we had some pretty good guests on this season. And, I mean, first we had Darrell Terry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shouts out to him. I really enjoyed, I mean, not only is he a fantastic person, but the stuff he was sharing with us, his roots of growing up in Chicago, talking to us about, the diversity growing up, as a black kid in Chicago, and being there as his neighborhood evolved and changed over time from something that he was, really enjoyed to a neighborhood that he's going, holy cow, I can't live here anymore.
Yeah.
And of course, his becoming a police officer and talking to us about, being a cop. Right. And I really like the way that he talked about, the challenges of being both black and a cop in today's society. Yeah. And, because I think that's really important, because there's always going to be bad jokers in every profession. Mm-hmm. But I liked how he was, he explained things from a different perspective that maybe we may not see. And so it was really neat. And I'm glad that we had him on. In fact, we had him on, I guess, back-to-back episodes.
We had 2 episodes with him, yeah. Because it definitely required 2 episodes. Probably could do easily a few more. I'd like to have him back on again. He's just, I think overall, just an amazing man. He's a great husband, great father, and he's definitely just the right person to be serving in our community and in the district as a peace officer. We especially with our kids, and but yeah, great story.
Yes. So we started. So we had him, and then we had Beth Weaver.
Oh, your sister.
Yes, had her come on and talk about. You and her kind of clicked a little bit better, being the youngest kids,
being the youngest, the babies
of the family. But it was really neat listening to the two of you as you guys talked about the impacts and roles, not just when you're growing up, but as you get older, and how that impacts or influences family dynamics, especially now. And I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously, we did connect on being with the birth order, being the youngest, and then I think we even shared similar things in how we were treated within the family growing up, and still now. Yeah. We're still spoken to almost like the same, which is look, I'm 40. I'm fixing to be 45 here in August. You're still telling the same narrative. Like I'm 45. Okay, not 14. Right? So, but yeah, and how that played a role in the family dynamic that was a really unique one. It never even occurred to me. So I was grateful that you wanted to touch on that, because there is significance to that in the birth order.
As our parents, your parents, my parents are getting older, and us kids take on a bigger role in helping them out.
Yeah.
In having those discussions of what to do, when to do, how to do. I think it played, for me anyway, I am finding that sometimes my sisters and we do have conversations with each other, and that sometimes maybe we don't treat each other as equals because of our birth order. Mm-hmm. And so when you're younger, when you're, all living together, all living at home, okay, I see that. But it's anyway, I think that it makes me question how many times that happens in other families, and how that can have either a positive or a negative impact on family relations, on how you treat each other.
Yeah.
And do you even realize that you are talking to each other in a way that might be, you think you're being supportive and you're actually condescending. I know I have that problem.
Yeah. And there are some cases where it's acceptable and it's kind of funny, but there are times where it's like, okay, no.
You've gone too far. You went from funny to rude.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Well,
then we had your friend Brian. And the only thing I have to say that was bad about that is the audio recording, because
the people recording the episode.
well, we'll call it a technical error, but the message was fantastic.
Yeah, it really is, and I'd like to have him on again. I know we talked about a few different things, and the meat of that podcast was the work-life, balance, creating balance, and obviously we shared stories of growing up, and but that really was a really impactful a message, especially, Brian, the CEO of Bill Hart's Desert Insurance out in the Coachella Valley out there by the Palm Springs area, just doing amazing things, successful agency, and a husband and a father, and a couple other things, and it's so balance was the key there. I was just out there the end of May. He had me come out, and I did a motivational message or speech there to his firm, and that was super fun. That I spoke a lot this past year.
Yeah.
I spoke to some big ones like Raising Cane's and TripAdvisor. The Bill Hart's agency was my funnest event.
Really?
Yes, it was a smaller office. There's a lot of agents there, but it really felt like family oriented, great culture. And when Brian and I have a story, we've grown up together, so there was some off the cuff, from the hip kind of moments that just people were laughing, and there might have been some people crying at some points because of my message. But I thought it was a great message, and well received. Did signing some books, and did that. But that was my funnest speech this year. But so yeah, I went out and did that. But I'd love to have him on again. He's got a slew of
stories.
Well, that too. Yeah, there was a couple things I wanted to share, and afterwards he's like, "Man, I'm so glad," because I thought at one moment you were going to share that one story. I'm like, "Nah, dude, I'm not going to do you like that." But just be careful. I might one day.
Oh, amen. Well, another episode we did that I really enjoyed, and I think it's timely to kind of recap or to kind of go back and revisit, especially as we are in the summertime, and it's alcohol abuse by teenagers. And I mean, adults do it. I've seen it, but I also, being a teenager, saw it happen. I think I did my part to participate when I was a lot younger and a lot dumber. But I think teenage drinking is a huge potential problem.
Yeah.
As we, okay, it's summertime, people are boating. Well, okay, kids are drinking, adults are drinking, but how many kids are out drinking at the lake?
Yeah.
How many kids are drinking at pool parties? And, so the big question is, why do teens want to drink?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's peer pressure.
Yeah, they're doing it, and now I want to partake. Peer pressure, absolutely.
Well, here, have a beer.
Yeah.
Maybe drinking to fit in.
Yep. Yeah.
Because I know I did.
Yeah.
Cope with stress. Think it's stressful being a teenager?
Yeah. Yeah. Despite what sometimes adults might say, you got nothing to stress about.
But actually they do. May have forgotten. Being an adult, and that's what I love about working with teenagers, as I have for so long, is I kind of listen to what they say.
Yeah.
And observe their interactions. But the other thing I wonder, and we didn't talk about this before, but I also wonder, are they doing it because they want to act grown up? Mom and dad, aunts and uncles, they all drink. Or maybe not all drink, but they drink, an occasional beer, a mixed drink, a glass of wine.
Yeah. Will this make me feel older or more mature?
Yeah, I'm grown up, man. I ain't no punk kid.
Yeah.
I'm a grown up.
It's going to make you feel something, all right.
Oh, yeah, especially the next day. But the downside I didn't think of and I don't know how many teenagers do, and that is the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the number of times that, you do, drunk driving accidents.
Yeah.
And, I mean, adults, there was that issue here, I don't know, back in early May, where a lady, South Dallas, was driving drunk and driving drunk on the wrong way, going the wrong way on the highway, and her car collided with another car, killed a coach. They had two kids in there, the lady killed herself and the two babies or young children that were in the car.
Gosh.
But I mean, teenagers. I mean, it never fails that here in the DFW area, every year between prom and graduation, there's 8, 10, 12 stories of high school kids, just graduated and they die in an alcohol-related accident. Motorcycles or cars or boating.
Right.
But I mean, so there's a lot of alcohol-related fatalities.
Yeah.
It can lead to promiscuity, sexual promiscuity, where, you get drunk, you pass out, and, somebody takes advantage of you. You hear a lot of this at college parties, but even at the high school parties, the kids will occasionally share, maybe too much.
Oh, yeah.
But again, you open yourself up to being taken advantage of, doing something either to someone or having something done to you sexually that you're going, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can't take that back.
No, not at all. And your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. It still happened, and it happened because of the influence of alcohol.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, some of the other issues, school problems. If you get kind of caught up into that stuff, next thing you know, you're drinking more and more, so therefore you're not focusing on your schoolwork. And so your grades slip, and you got issues there. You could become alcoholic. And that's a problem that can follow you well into adulthood. And of course, you need money, right?
You need money to feed your addiction.
And of course, you got your job, but could lead to violent crime.
Yeah.
Where you're robbing people or you're stealing things. So that, again, I don't know, it was just very interesting. When I was looking back at what we talked about, and I thought it was, again, the things that you don't think about, the unintended consequences that can tie in to, alcohol.
Well, and I think for teens who are listening, I mean, gosh, even for adults, parents, yeah. Model the right things. As an adult, it's okay to drink in moderation. And so, if you're getting hammered in front of your kids, then what do you think your kids are going to do?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, having, drinking. If you're going to drink in front of your kids, drink in moderation. We'll have a glass of wine, or every once in a while have a beer. But it's in moderation, and I'm not drinking a lot. I think so. Parents and teens, going back to your first point, the consequence is the fatalities. Now it's either on the boat or, in a vehicle of some sort. You can't take that back.
No.
You should pre-decide right now that if you are going to partake, you never get in a car with someone who's been drinking, or you definitely don't get behind the wheel, because you can't take that back. And you also can't take that off your record once it says DUI. And so you just, if you're going to partake, or as an adult, you're going to do this, you pre-decide that I'm never going to get behind a wheel, and I'm never going to get in the car with someone. Because growing up in high school, I've had friends that died behind the wheel, or were part of an accident because they were drunk, survived or lost a limb because of it. So, those decisions that you make now don't just affect today, they affect your future.
Well, I have a lawyer come and talk to the kids every year about various issues. And the one thing that they're always interested in is, how do I get out of a DUI? And he says, well, it's a 4-word answer. Or no, it's a 4-letter word. It's a 4-letter word to get out of it. Uber.
Yeah.
And if you can't do Uber, Lyft.
Right.
I mean, because it could be $15,000-$20,000
Yeah.
just in legal fees and all that kind of stuff to get out of a DUI. So you're right. Save yourself trouble. If you know you're going to get in, you're going to go out drinking,
Mm-hmm.
especially once you turn 21.
Yeah.
Uber. Uber there, Uber back, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could get on this mic and tell you all kinds of things. At the end of the day, it's your choice. You have that choice. You have enough wisdom just from us alone to be able to make the right choice. So make the right choice, because you can't take these things back. Anyways, so well, let's move on. I know we did suicide prevention. We talked about that. Specifically. With my role within the ISD as the Hope Squad director, we did a lot of stuff throughout this school year to bring more awareness to mental health and suicide prevention. And you and I both have close ties to that
experience.
Firsthand, unfortunately. And we talked about kids who are under 21 are increasingly turning to suicide to solve their problems. And we, even through research, that there was a CDC survey done of middle and high school kids that found out that 18% considered suicide and 15% actually made a plan.
That just scares the living daylights out of me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a former student of mine. It wasn't even just top 10%. He was a top 10 graduate about 6 years ago. And great kid, always fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And just over 2 years ago, well, in fact, the funeral, he committed suicide, and his funeral was Monday before the world shut down on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Of March 2020. And I mean, these kinds of things, for me, my heart breaks.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's heartbreaking.
And it's the idea that you feel that the world is going to be better off without you. I just want to tell them no.
Mm-hmm.
The world is going to be worse without you. That your problem, whatever it is not so insurmountable that we can't work through it.
Yeah. Yeah. A permanent decision to I forget what they say, a temporary.
Yeah, problem. A permanent solution to a short-term problem.
Right.
And I mean, I know that girls are more likely to try it. And I know that boys are more likely to be successful.
Yeah. So even in the research says that females 3 to 1 are 3 to 1 times more likely to attempt suicide, where males are 4 to 1 more times to
be successful,
to die by suicide. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Working with kids like you and I have for so long, and I think this is the first year our school district didn't have a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
First time in 5 years?
5 or 6 years, yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time. It seemed like every year we were having one, at least one.
Right.
Between a middle school and a high school.
Yeah, and I think I ran into someone the other day. I think it might have even just some random, like a stranger. I think it might have come up that I, was doing the Hope Squad or something, and like, oh my gosh, I bet COVID, sent a lot of kids, and what they had to deal with. And I said, actually, there was not an increase in suicides. I think with a lot of people, there was a misconception here.
Yeah.
That while there was an increase in hospital visits, there wasn't an increase in actual suicides. So people were at home. Kids were at home with their families. Mm-hmm. People were connecting. They were doing things as a family. So in really the good thing out of COVID, which I'm sure there are a lot of things, but there weren't a lot, but is that did bring some families closer together. So there was that research that came out. So, but now that we're back in schools, there has been just a little bit, I think. But we did, through that episode, we gave people signs of suicide, signs to watch for, and there's a lot of things. Like if someone's exposed to loss, specifically a loss of suicide, in a family or a family member, right? There might be a prior attempt, depression. It's not just one thing, reckless behavior, a loss of a relationship, a breakup or whatever. Just there's a lot of things to be cognizant of. Another thing is that I always would teach a kid is, if someone's gives away a prized possession, like a grandfather's watch, like, hey, I'm not going to be needing this anymore. Okay, well, hold up, time out. That's a sign. That's a clear indication. And then again, if they have a plan.
Yeah, when we did the divorce group, there were a handful of times where people would come in and they would be talking about wanting to commit suicide, that the breakup of the marriage was so painful that they just could not go on. And we would then call the counselor that ran the group, and we would, we'd take them out. One of the facilitators would take them outside, and they would, we put them on the phone with the counselor, and they would visit and talk. Yeah. And I mean, it's real. And it's one of those, you're right. It's scary that people think that this is the only option. Right. I mean, there's one thing to say, oh, I'm just going to kill myself. But when you really mean that, that's where, you don't have to be a trained professional. No. You just have to be a concerned friend. You have to care. And you say, look, I'm going to put everything aside, and you and I, we're going to talk about this. And let's talk and let's talk and let's talk. Right. Because there's no time limit on this. Yeah. And if necessary, then I will drive you to the hospital, and we'll get you some real professional help. Oh my gosh! Because again, it's kind of our responsibility. Yeah. And and in many cases, it calls for you to physically go with the person, because oftentimes they don't want to go. No, because there's a stigma, right? We talked about this before, and I don't want to go. Okay, well, would you be okay if I went with you? Stick with the person. Don't let them go. Take all signs serious, right? And so that was the message we were given this year: is just take all signs serious. Nothing else matters when someone comes to you and has a comment like, I just don't want to wake up in the morning. Well, then we have to dig deep to really figure this out and get you the help that you need. So what kind of things did you guys do, especially for school kids? In regard, if a kid's in a situation where they have, so kids are trained on how to question, how to either indirect or direct questioning, how to persuade that individual who's struggling to not go through with an act, or persuade them, hey, let's take a different course of action. And then referring that struggling peer friend to myself or a counselor or a trusted adult. And so the kids have done just a phenomenal job of doing that. Do you know what some of the issues were? I mean, some common issues. Gosh, it was really across the board. It could have been from divorce. Mom and dad getting divorced. Mom and dad getting divorced. There was some that had gone through, a breakup. Okay. A loss. Some people lost a family member, even a pet. Right, because pets are family members. Yeah, and so there are a lot of different things. I just wonder because you hear a lot about bullying.
Oh yeah,
Inside
obviously
and
that's definitely a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, bullying has been a big one, and we even did something back in October specifically to help fight against that. Maybe poor choice of words there, but help prevent or stop bullying. But yeah, I think the message that we were trying to portray this year is take all signs serious. And when you hear something or you hear of someone that is crying, basically, is send an SOS signal or a call, pick it up, help them out. Like, stop everything and help that person because, nobody's off limits. You and I are not off limits from struggling or going through a horrible time.
Yeah, there was, after Eric died, I was in as low and a dark a place as I could be.
Yeah.
And I was really blessed and lucky to have great friends and supportive family that just basically took care of me.
Yeah.
So that I would not add to the horrific issues.
Right.
There were already 2 deaths. We didn't need a third.
Right.
And so, well, what can families do? What can we do at home to help our teenage kids?
So here's what I've been telling people is in sharing my story and growing up and being around, family members who have died by suicide, close friends that have died by suicide. And growing up, we didn't talk about it. And I understand that it's a challenging, taboo topic, if you will.
Okay.
It's hard for people to have that conversation, especially the closer it gets your family, the closer it gets to your family. Like with Braddock's a couple years ago, it just presented itself, and it was uncomfortable for me to talk about suicide with him. But once we started having that conversation, I felt so much better and so grateful that we had that conversation. And that's the message that I've been given all year is we need to put ourselves aside and have a conversation. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it is, but we can't brush it under the rug anymore. And that's how I felt growing up. And when those took place in my life and growing up, it was never a conversation. It was, this happened and we're going to move on because we're not going to talk about it.
Because if we talk about it, it could happen again and again and again.
Yeah. And so, again, I think people have this common myth about confronting someone who has thoughts of suicide will actually encourage them to go through with it. When studies, science, whatever it has proven, it does the opposite, actually. It opens up lines of communication. So it does definitely help when you have that conversation. I get that it's very uncomfortable, but you need to step in and have that conversation. That's what I've just been being bold about this year when talking to different adults. Have the conversation. I know it's difficult, but be bold. Have the conversation. Talk about it, and just take baby steps, but have the conversation. And I think that's gone over. It's been received well, and just at the end of the day, we need to widen the lens for suicide prevention. And so that was part of what we had talked about in the podcast, and then the message all year. Just because everyone has a story, it matters, and it's not over.
Well, I'm glad. That interesting. Because the next thing that I have on our things to review was the episode we did on ways to boost your emotional health.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can boost our emotional health, that can help deal with the anxiety, the depression, the stress that we all have. Right? It doesn't matter who you are. And so, practicing emotional awareness, recognize.
Yeah.
When you're feeling blue, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling that, I just don't want to get out of
right.
it. I mean, and practice mindful acceptance that, you know what? It is what it is right here, right now, but it's not always going to be here, and it's not always going to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so things are a little tough. Things are a little complicated. You're being pulled, a lot of directions. You've got a lot on your plate, but it's not like that. Hasn't always been like that, and it won't stay that way.
Right.
So, kind of just, it's okay.
Yeah.
It will change, and usually it changes for the better.
Yeah.
Which you can help by refocusing your attention. What is important? How can we, clean the plate?
Yeah.
What is most important? What is my primary focus and my secondary, my tertiary? And then which of these things am I worried about that really don't matter to me?
Yeah.
I got to tell you the number of times I have taken on other people's problems at school. They aren't my problems.
Yeah.
And the issues they're dealing with don't directly impact me or affect me, but yet I take on their issues as though they're my own, and that then sucks me down.
Right.
And so...
remember, control the controllables.
Yes. Which...
we find it, I want to try and control all the things that I cannot control. Mm-hmm. And then I struggle with controlling the things that I actually have control over.
Well, which you can. And that includes being, you were talking with Brad before we got started, with John Gordon and his book, The Energy Bus. Well, one of the things he talks about is energy vampires.
Right.
And so you can separate yourself, emotionally distance yourself from these energy vampires, these dark clouds who suck you down like quicksand into their world.
Yeah.
Well, again, it doesn't help you. It doesn't benefit you. So if you can kind of recognize the energy vampires in your life and go, we can still be friends, but I don't know that I can spend all my time. And, you can take me off those text chats and those kinds of things. And so, again, emotionally distancing yourself from energy vampires.
Oh, yeah.
And, some of the other things, and again, I'm sorry, I'm dominating, but
no, that's all right.
It's kind of interesting for me anyway, but, you reappraise what is your priorities. Mm-hmm. Use your imagination.
Yeah.
I don't, it's very interesting. I keep hearing again and again that with all the TV shows, all the movies, all the video games that people play, the idea of using your imagination has greatly decreased across young people today.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you don't read, you watch movies. Well, what do movies do? Well, they tell you the story from somebody else's perspective, but if you read the book, well, okay, yeah, it's a little more time consuming, but you have to use your imagination with the descriptors and the adjectives that they use to describe the characters and the settings and all that, and you draw a picture in your own mind. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, but, the other thing that I notice amongst, especially the kids we work with, share the good things. Share the positive. Share,
right.
When you get something positive happen in your life, it's okay to share.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that we cannot control, the things that happen to us.
Yeah.
What we can, and the only thing that we can control, is how we respond.
Yep.
Because it's our life. And how do we want it to be? What is our narrative? What do we want it to say about us? Mm-hmm. Because we are in control of how we respond to these things. So if we can follow do some of these things, it can potentially boost our emotional health. And suddenly now instead of feeling blue, feeling, living under that dark cloud, well, maybe you can have a different perspective. Well, it's not that bad.
Right.
Well, there are some positives. Well, there are some good things. Okay, it doesn't suck so bad. So
yeah. No, I like that episode too. And then we went into which is so true. Our children are watching. So what are you teaching them?
Oh my gosh, no kidding.
Yeah. We talked about, we talked about a lot during that episode, but a couple things specifically we talked about is our children take cues from us as young as 6 months old.
No way.
And how to act in various situations. So we talked about that. We talked about not lying to your kids. Okay.
Can I lie about Santa Claus? Can I lie about Easter Bunny?
Yes, that's acceptable. But that's lying. Bless you.
Oh my Lord! I tried to hold that one in, but
I'm just bending the truth a little bit.
Okay. So it's okay to talk about Santa Claus, but it's not okay to.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about those things, it's not very malicious or anything. And I always I'll tell all my kids the same thing. I've never lied to any of them, and I never will. There's no real reason to, because the same thing I've been teaching Braddock's is this: that truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue only lasts a moment.
Okay.
You want me to repeat that?
Would you? Because
truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue only lasts a moment.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, go ahead and mark that one down. Anyway, so we talked about not lying, being careful how you talk, as children's vocabulary begins by parroting what they hear most often. And that's funny. I swear we had a parrot in the house yesterday with Briar repeating everything I said, and especially when it came out of my mouth and I said, damn it, as I tripped over a beanbag with my bad back, and she goes, damn it. And I go, oh, and Braddock goes, Dad. I'm like, I know, son. I got to correct that. But it's just funny. I even made that comment. What are you, a parrot? And you know what she says? What are you, a parrot? I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyways, be mindful of that thing. We talked about making dinner an important event. Sit at the table. Strengthen the relationships with one another. Create more robust relationships, more trust amongst each other. I think that was it. We talked about a couple other things, but to be aware that our children will value or devalue what we value or devalue. So that was a good episode, because our children, you as a teacher, I can't say that anymore, but when I was a teacher, regardless, they're watching.
Oh, they are.
They're watching. They are watching. They are watching. So be careful. Be mindful of what you're doing and what you're saying.
All right. So I was on my phone to pull this up because I shared this with some of my department coworkers. But it's a letter, and it's a fictional letter. I don't think that anybody actually sent this out, but I'm really considering it. But it says, "Dear parents, if you let your child argue with you, they will argue with me, the teacher. If you let your child speak to you in a disrespectful tone, they will take that tone with me. If you allow your child to break rules without consequences, they will not do what I say either. You see, you are your child's first and most important teacher. We can only build on the foundation that you have laid at home. Sincerely, your child's teacher."
Yeah.
And it really, it's very interesting, and it fits very much with this whole idea. What are we teaching?
Yeah.
And as parents, are we taking that into consideration?
Right. Well, and I hear a lot of times from teachers, and they have a child who is demonstrating those things, and it's the first response is, must not be being raised right in the home. And it's okay, well,
maybe. But anyway, I like that one. I enjoyed doing that one. Another one that we did that I liked was, how is the past, or even is the past, influencing your present?
Right. Yeah.
And we had two quotes that kind of kicked off our conversation. And one was, just because the past didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, it doesn't mean your future can't be better than you ever imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second quote was, don't worry about hard times. Some of the most beautiful things in life come from changes or mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, I've been seeing, through my Facebook feed, I've been seeing all these different things over the last few weeks, and they've been talking a lot about mistakes and failures. And they showed one of a person with mistakes, and they were just piled high on their back.
Right.
And they were just weighing them down. And they said, you can do option 1, which is that, or you can do option 2, which is where the person was using the mistakes as a stair step to success.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. You know, and that is something that I think I'm going to do more of this coming school year is push the kids. Look, you're going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes. Okay? But don't let what's happening to you dictate you going downhill. Use those as opportunities to move forward.
1,000%.
And so, anyway, I mean, because, you know, life's going to suck.
Yeah.
It's not all going to be sunshines and daffodils
And Skittles.
And Skittles and rainbow unicorns and all that other crap. But, you know, it's okay. What?
Oh, nothing.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Anyway, I just think,
teach them how to respond to that mistake, how to respond to that failure, how to recognize, hey, this could be an opportunity, or this should be an opportunity to grow and to get better.
Exactly.
Don't always think disaster. Some message I was given this year: don't think disaster. Develop a different mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to be teaching more of, developing more of a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm. And letting, I don't know, it's don't expect to fail, but understand that failure is okay. You know, again, bring back that Edison quote.
Yeah, 10,000.
I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Right.
I mean, it's perspective. So just because that's the way it's been in the past doesn't mean that has to be the future.
Right.
And learn from our mistakes and move forward.
Yeah, it's almost if you embrace this model and say and where it's okay, these mistakes, failures, it's a part of the process. It's a part of the process on my journey to becoming XYZ or fulfilling the man or woman that I'm supposed to be.
Well, look at us. You and I have talked about many times of the things that we did wrong, things that we just absolutely, utterly failed at. And both you and I could have gone down different paths and used those negative experiences in a different way. But instead, we have found a way to
channel them
into something positive, to find a way to make it not be a wasted experience.
Right. We at some point developed through that struggle the strength because of that struggle. So I'm going to use this as strength to move on and to get out of park.
Yes,
I know we talked about that in an episode.
Yeah, like
or get out of being stuck, and where a lot of people are stuck, and they're those people that become the energy vampires. It's the same story. It's the same poor me, the pity story, and yeah. Anyways, kind of going off there, but we could have gone a different path, but we knew deep down inside this is not how it's supposed to be. We're meant for more, and we're going to go out and we're going to go change lives. Period. The end.
And I hope that when they bury us in the ground 50 years from now, people will say, you know what? You did do that.
Right.
And if they don't, well, that's fine too. At least we had fun along the way. Because one of the other episodes, again, that I wanted to highlight was Seize the Day.
Oh, yeah.
From that National Geographic.
Yep, I remember that.
Oh, that was really good. Because, it is so easy to lose focus. It's so easy
Mm-hmm.
to forget your why,
Right.
to get caught up in the minutia. And so the idea of seize the day.
Yeah.
I mean, today is kind of like in the movie Twins. Today's your day, bro. Anyway, but it was talking about, the different little things you could do, such as remember your purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your purpose?
I don't know.
Well, find one so you can seize the day. But I mean, again,
Oh, sorry.
I mean, we all have, what do you want? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to become? When you think of yourself 5 years from now, when you think of yourself 10 years from now, what is that? What are you doing to get there?
Mm-hmm.
How far along are you? Are you at the beginning? Are you partway? Are you 25%, 50%? Are you 75% on your way to where you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's your purpose? And, if you're going to have better meetings, or have better meetings, all right? Better leadership. We all have meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a family meeting, whether it's a work meeting, whether it's friends getting together, hey, we need to talk about this thing
Mm-hmm.
as a team, whether it's your sports team or a work team. I don't know. There's lots of opportunities for us to have meetings. And so make those meetings have meaning.
Yeah.
I mean, don't have a meeting just to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, we meet every Monday at noon. Well, okay. If you need to have a meeting, have a meeting and be very specific. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Have an agenda.
Yeah.
When we have our, at school, they call them professional learning committees.
Communities,
Communities,
PLCs.
yeah,
Come on,
communities.
dude. You should know this.
Yeah, well, it shows how much I pay attention to their, anyway. But we have them, and they're talking about have an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Stay the course, and boom. When you're done, you're done. I mean, and if you don't need to have a meeting, don't
have a meeting. Send an email.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, again, you don't want to waste time. So then, of course, avoid, and this is, I think I do this pretty good. I do not multitask. Sherry will tell you that. But avoid the multitasking trap where do one thing, get it done, do another thing, get it done. Don't try and have 15 things going at once.
Like me, I've got like 40 different tabs open trying to do different.
And yeah, because when you are trying to do a lot of things at once, what do you wind up doing well?
Yeah.
None of
it.
And so
you've got a small percentage of your best divvied out to all kinds of things, and it's not your best.
No, and it's amazing when I can do this. I actually do really well, really well, really well.
Yeah.
And because sometimes I will do what you're saying, you get spread so thin, and then I'm going, I don't want to do any of it.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, oh crap. So again, avoid, by seizing the day, I can avoid setting myself up to fail by promising, again, trying to do too many things. So I tell that to Sherry all the time. Well, I'm just seizing the day, baby, doing one thing at a time.
But I asked you that 1 month ago. I'm seizing the day, baby.
All right, the last thing they say, and again, a summation of that National Geographic article, was practice mindful communication. Listening, like we've talked about, listen to understand and not to respond. Be in the moment. Like you say, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I don't always practice that.
It's hard. Especially if you're a multitasker. Yeah, there's a lot of distractions around us, folks. I think most of us are aware of that. So, again, be where your feet are. Be there, present in that moment, because that game isn't until tonight, or the dinner party isn't until tonight, or whatever. Fill in the blank. Be present, because that moment matters.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was a good one. Seizing the day. We also, I want to say no, we didn't close with that. I forgot what we did, but we talked about no regrets. No regrets.
That's right.
No regrets. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me.
I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
Because, how many times do we try and be so many things to so many people?
Yeah.
And when we try to be something we're not, we're kind of lying to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I liked when, those 5 topics.
Right. Yeah, that was one of them that we talked about. And then the other one was I wish I hadn't worked so hard.
These are things that people were saying at the end of life. Is that right?
That's
Am I
right.
remembering that right?
On their deathbed. These are the 5 things. I guess there was top 5 things that there was a survey done or a study done, if you will. And yeah, that was one of them. And then the other one was I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings instead of bottling things up and suppressing it and then not ever saying anything or sharing my true feelings. They had wished they had the courage to express those feelings.
I've always wondered how my life would have turned out if I had asked this girl out instead of that girl out. In college, there was a really cute girl that I liked. And we were good friends, but I never pushed it.
Right.
And so
you didn't cross over.
I was afraid. I absolutely was afraid. Because what if I was misreading the tea leaves?
Yeah.
And so I stayed in the friend zone. Well, then she started dating some other guy, or dated some guy, and we went our separate ways. Well, then that's when I met Eric's mother. And, well, lo and behold, this girl winds up showing back up on my doorstep to reacquaint, Oh, and by the way, she had a 1-year-old son.
Wow.
And so I wonder, well, what would have happened? How would my life have been different had I had the courage to,
right,
push that relationship to see where it would have gone instead of being afraid.
Yeah.
But then again, like we've talked about, all the things in our life had to happen for us to get where we are now. So maybe it's a good thing. But yeah,
right.
There have been many times where I've regretted, especially a lot younger.
Yeah.
Always being afraid to voice my opinion, share my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I have, I think I know I could say the same thing, but I also have come to that point where obviously living a lot differently nowadays, right? Very different. But there was a long season, if you will, where I was like, man, I regret that. And I know that was toxic. That was poisonous. But now like you said, I've come to that conclusion that it's part of the story. It's part of the process to get you where you are right now. And so now I get to, like you, get on a podcast like this or a platform or a stage or whatever and share the story to help, right? It's about helping and enriching the lives of others. But another one that they talked about was staying in touch with their friends. They wish they had stayed in touch with their friends, which that kind of resonates with me. I have a lot of people that I was good friends with that just kind of went away, and I'm like, there were decent friendships, and it's just kind of went away.
Yeah, and my dad asked me a few years ago, he says, hey, can you find this friend for me, this old army buddy? And I never could, because they had, lost contact. And so, because, I can remember one time, I couldn't have been maybe, 6th grade, 7th grade, something like that. And some guy's knocking on the door of an evening, and he's going, is Mac here? I'm going, who? Mac. I'm looking for Mac. There's nobody here by the name of Mac. So he pulls out this sheet of paper and he goes, "Does this guy live here?" Said Marvin McCall. I go, "Well, that's my dad. So Mac lives here. Can you wait just a minute?" So I shut the door and I go holler at Dad. And, I mean, it was an Army buddy that,
Wow.
it was 20 years. But
That's
they had
crazy.
lived in the house for that long.
Yeah.
Or, that was the last known address. And so he happened to be driving through and he made a pit stop.
Wow.
And so, it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say that's one of the nice things of Facebook.
Right.
I don't have a lot of positives about Facebook, but that is one of them, is that you can connect with old friends.
Sure.
Because I occasionally see some pop up of, high school friends or people, I knew a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me, I don't know, it is kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun to connect through Facebook. With some, not all.
Well, true.
Yeah.
I do hit a lot of remove.
Unfriend.
Yeah.
No, and then the last one was I wish that I had let myself be happier. So that was the top five regrets of a study done on people who were on their deathbed. And so before we sign off, we've gone a little bit longer today. A couple of reasons. One, it's we had a lot to cover, and it was season 2 recap. But I want to leave our listeners with this one question based off of this last episode we just recapped. What's your greatest regret so far, and what will you set out to achieve or change before you die? So soak on that question.
Okay.
And I'm done. That's all I got. Stick a fork in me.
Okay, you are done.
Yeah.
So we will be back on the first Monday of August.
Yep.
We'll drop season 3, where we've got some exciting and interesting stuff coming up. We've got a new list of guest speakers we're trying to get a hold of. Some we have and scheduled. So anyway, thanks. Have a great summer, and we will be back. I won't say live and in person, but we will be back.
You never know. We might get sponsored one day and be like live.
Or maybe we'll finally figure out how to do a YouTube and be a vlog.
One of these days.
I don't know. That requires a greater use of technology.
Well, given our track record with technology, we would stick to what we somewhat know. All right. Well, that was it. Season 2 recap. Season 2. Well, season 3 will be back here not for long. It's been awesome, Rod. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence. Thank you for helping me be a better man, better father, better husband, better person.
You're welcome. I'll send you a bill. Anyway, and vice versa, all kidding aside. So thanks again. This is a lot of fun. We appreciate you. And we'll be back in August.
Until then,
Peace out. I'm Rod.
I'm Bryce.